Greetings friends, Seer here from Yoga Collective, and today I am seeking to have a dialogue and inspire some understanding around the differences between pranayama and breathwork. Have you noticed that breathwork is kind of taking mainstream media by storm, and so many people are starting to reference these ancient practices known as pranayama? And this is a wonderful, wonderful thing, as it's finally starting to get the attention that it deserves because it has such a vast array of healing benefits. The purpose of this video is to give a little bit of understanding between the differences between breathwork and pranayama. Oftentimes what we're seeing through social media is these more sexy breathing techniques. And while those have an importance for creating lung capacity, healing trauma, and all of those wonderful things that breath can bring us, if we are not utilizing them in the correct way, at the correct stage, and with the correct mindset, we can exacerbate certain ailments that we may already be battling. So today I want to bring a little bit of awareness around what breathwork is, what pranayama is, and what you should be doing to get started. Let's dive in. So let's take a look here first at pranayama. Pranayama is not limited by technique. It is a whole process in itself. It is one of the foundations that builds this sense of prana or life energy within the body. It creates this discipline and awareness around our emotions, as the breath is directly linked to our emotional body. When we control the breath, we control our emotions. Pranayama is the bridge between the mind and body connection. It is what gives us that platform for control and positive manipulation so that we can move through life from a space of response versus a space of reaction. Because pranayama is not just technique and is in fact a process, what we see in traditional pranayama is more of a parasympathetic activation, meaning that we're connecting more to the rest and restore action of the body than we are the fight or flight. The reason for this is because most of us are already living in a very stimulated sympathetic nervous system. And so for most of us, there really isn't a need to activate that space. Leading us to our last point, pranayama is a platform for meditation. Because we have this discipline, this awareness, this bridge between the mind and the body, and a connection to the parasympathetic nervous system, allowing us to be able to rest and move inward, it is one of the preliminary steps to achieving a successful meditation practice. So as you can see, pranayama is not limited by aspect or form. It is this very expansive process that allows us to turn our awareness inward so that we can obtain these higher states of consciousness. Okay, so then what's breathwork? So this is where it gets a little complex. Breathwork is not pranayama, but pranayama is breathwork. Because pranayama is the process, it includes the techniques like breathwork, but it goes far beyond that, as we just discussed. So here we can gather that breathwork is the technique aspect of pranayama. So this allows us the ability to increase our lung capacity. Have you ever noticed that sometimes it's really challenging to take a full, complete, deep breath? Well, that's because most of us aren't using our diaphragm to breathe. We are stuck in this thoracic region and not actually allowing the diaphragm to fully optimize its purpose within our body. As we inhale, our diaphragm extends downward and presses onto all of our belly organs, giving them a nice gentle massage to aid in digestion and to help all of that process along. And then as we exhale, it takes its place back up here. So it kind of just oscillates between this area, but what we see is a lot of people are kind of stuck here and not utilizing the full potential of what the diaphragm could be doing for them. So breathwork can be a really useful modality in effort to increase our lung capacity so that we obtain a healthier breath-body connection. Typically, what we're seeing highlighted in social media platforms are these more hyperventilation focused techniques where they're using a very fast and forceful inhalation, sometimes an interrupted inhalation, and usually followed by a breath retention in order to create that state of homeostasis after this increase of oxygen intake and carbon dioxide flush. Now, these breath techniques serve a great purpose, and I encourage you to do a little bit of studying on your own to find out more about the health benefits of these modalities. However, most of us are already living in a high activated state of sympathetic. So the last thing that we need is to increase that cortisol and that fight or flight response. Because we are bombarded with these sexy breathing techniques by Instagram influencers and spiritual healers within the public eye, we start to think like, hey, maybe I'm gonna try this as well, without fully acknowledging or understanding that we could be exasperating ailments within the body that we are actually trying to heal. Thus bringing us to our last point here. Breathwork can be a platform for awareness. And not awareness that is necessarily completely embodied on an inward trajectory, but is moving towards it. So if you find yourself obtaining this sense of curiosity to dive deeper into pranayama and breathwork, I highly encourage you to take your time and do your research. Connect to the body and understand the ailments that you currently are suffering from so that you can seek proper technique and not exasperate an already upward trajectory with more upward current. We want to make sure that we are grounded and rooted in that sense of stability and I amness before we start to explore these higher states of consciousness. And so creating that platform of homeostasis by using traditional pranayama that focuses more on the connection to the parasympathetic nervous system versus jumping right into these very exasperating hyperventilation, sexy breathing techniques that we're seeing all over the social media, we can step back into this space of understanding and actually heal from what we need versus create more problems for ourselves. I really hope that you found this video helpful, and I am here for any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have. I hope that you have an expanded day.